From the video title, Taser Time versus Real Time, you can tell this is a video about the time on the tasers. So we'll just start here where he's still at the house, and from the time on the video footage down at the bottom there, that's 10th of the 9th, 2016, that's the right date. The time is 15:59 and 44 seconds, which is 4 p.m, and that's what Time News Report said roughly that it happened on the Saturday afternoon. After he chased the victim up to this house with all the cameras, and he waved his knife around and got into that melee where he got hit over the arm. So that told a great story of the heroes, didn't it? Wasn't like that was staged. Well, of course it was. Well, after he was doing his little theatre here, the police arrived.
A police patrol van arrives. The attacker turns on them.
Yeah, the police arrived, and then mysteriously they drove off again up this street where they didn't know if there were any kids playing in the front yard. It was a Saturday afternoon, but they've just got this guy with a knife with no one between him and the rest of the public around, and they're still in their car. I just thought it was an unusual tactic, but it worked. Somehow they knew that he was going to chase them, and that's what he did. Now, as far as timing goes, they wouldn't have been a few minutes because they called 000, and in fact, one of, I think it was Greenhill or one of the witnesses said, oh, they were amazed at how quick the cops got there. They were there within minutes. So this would, at the most, would be about 3 to 4 minutes past 4. And he's just headed up that street, as we can see that he ran up there. And this is the last frame of footage that we can see where Carney's running, and he's nearly adjacent to that tall tree. And here's the first frame of footage from the taser cam where he's about to engage with the police and their tasers. Now here's an overhead view of that lane that he ran up. And I've just got the distances there. I actually took that bottom right-hand 20 metres and just turned it around and got those 20, 40, 60, 80 metre measurements there. And I've just marked the 2 points. The last time we could see him in the footage from the house, and the first time we could see him in the footage from the taser. As you can see, it's about probably 35 metres, 40 metres. And even if I got him a little bit early, because I know he walks a bit further before he gets right into the taser melee, so it might even be a bit further along, but not too much. The second point, it would be a maximum 40 metres. Now, a fit young guy like him, and he was pretty spry. He was running quite quickly. He could probably do 100 metres in 15 seconds pretty easily. So about a second and a half to run 10 metres. So he's run 40 metres. It's taken him about 5 to 6 seconds to get from the tree to where the taser starts. Quite a bit happens in that very, very short time of 6 seconds, because if you look at this last frame here, just at the corner, there's the corner's clear. And here we are 5, 6 seconds later, you've got a car parked, because that car doesn't come up, with its lights on, and you've got another car parked, seemingly blocking off the intersection. So they went from not having having a clear intersection to having these cars sort of stationed in position in a very short space of time. And I think you can still see the car that was parked opposite the house is still parked where it was. You can see it in the background there. So that's a totally different car. Got there amazingly quick. So the sudden appearance of those cars in such a short space of time in position, particularly one with the lights on, because the light from the camera back at the house, it was quite bright. No cars had their lights on when they were going past. We saw lots of car movements, some very suspicious car movements, but none of them had their lights on. But this car's got its lights on, and it got into position very, very quickly in a time. It took very short time. It would have taken ISIS to get from the tree to this position here. So that cast doubt over the time frame of these two different video footages, but also the time on the taser. Now that should be around 4 p.m, but it's not. It's at 6:02. The date's right, but it seems to be 2 hours later, probably when it was a little bit darker. According to the manual for the X22, the tasers that the New South Wales Police use, the time is set when they're plugged into the computer and they run with their software that comes with these tasers. You can't set the time on the taser itself. It's impossible. How it's set is it synchronises when you connect it to the PC running the software, and that software downloads all the event logs, which includes obviously the time, the date, and the taser number used, and also obviously the footage and the audio. That gets recorded as evidence. And there's another taser that's used, I'll show you in a little while longer, that's around the same time. So these two tasers have been synchronised by the same system, which is back at the police station. Therefore, from a systems perspective, technology perspective for how these things work and function, the time on these two tasers must be correct, unless the time back at the station is incorrect, but it's used all the time, so it would need to be correct at all times. So it's synchronized with the correct time, and they can't be set manually in the field. So we know that that time on this taser is correct. And also from an evidentiary's perspective, the accurate time has to be there or you can't admit it into evidence. So what's the only possible explanation to explain how the time at the house was 4 p.m. and got reported by the news as being happening at 4 p.m., yet the tasers 6 to 8 seconds later got it at 2 hours later? Well, the only explanation that is logical and makes sense is when you add it to all the other indications, such as the blood. Now, he got stabbed 100 metres away from where he ran into that salon, yet he was spurting blood then. Now, when you get stabbed, you spurt blood at the start and then it tapers off. After it only pumps for a while, because the blood pressure doesn't stay there for 100 metres till you get to somewhere else, and then there's blood everywhere. And you can see him; he reaches down for the blood packs, and the mysterious movement of all those cars in such a short space of time with the blue car. And PK did a great video on it. It was one place at about 4 different spots, and the guy gets out and he's walking around, and then you got the fact that it was on a current affair and they got the footage and airing it all, and it was meant to be like a serious terror offence and supposed to be an investigation, and yet they've got all the footage and the evidence, and then you got the Prime Minister doing speeches on it. Yeah, all that's not meant to happen until the person is, at least they're at court, because it could jeopardise the court proceedings. But of course, we all know how the court proceedings ended up, and that sort of wraps it up. And this, as being a hoax, as does this Taser Time. They just got sloppy and showed this footage out in the public, and I think they've just stuffed up again. So, because the whole thing was just bullshit to bring in those laws that Brandis brought in for the indefinite detention that he had all ready to go. They brought it in the week of this attack. Now, there's just one other thing I'll show as far as the tasers go that's quite amusing as well.
Get on the ground! Get on the ground! Taser!
So as you can see from that, right from the start of this taser garbage, you can see, and also I established that it was a blue taser. It's a training taser. He's not actually getting electricity here. And you could tell that because he puts his hand out and he's still holding onto the knife. He's got control of his body. He's just putting on an act here.
The man convulsing in shock as he's repeatedly tasered. Terrified passengers scrambling out of their seats to get out of the way. The shocking scenes unfold.
So that's an actual taser at work. And as you can see, the guy was screaming, he was convulsing, he had no control over his body. You can also hear the taser go quieter as more electricity goes into his body. And that doesn't happen with ISIS. It's the same sound all the time, just tack, 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 because they're using a blue cartridge, training cartridge. So it's really obvious that ISIS has complete control over his body. He's not getting any electricity at all. So that was fake. Just jumped ahead now to where they changed tasers. So that's X07079949, and the time on it's 6:04 and 11 seconds. The time in that drops off except for the second, so you can just watch as that unfolds.
Do not get up! Do not get up!
Yeah, the seconds kept counting up in the bottom right-hand corner, so it's 6:04 and 17 seconds. And it looks like his head's hit the ground pretty hard there. And look, there's already a cop, and he's just hit the ground pretty hard. So you'd think that'd be it, wouldn't you? But that wasn't it. In fact, now this is the next frame of the footage that they show. And it's a different taser now. It's X00575482, and the time is now 6:05 and 38 seconds. So a full 1 minute and 21 seconds has gone past, and the cop's now gone. He's laying in a different position, closer to the curb and parallel as opposed to when we last saw him. So a lot's happened in that minute and 21 seconds. Well, who knows? There's no footage of it. This cop obviously didn't go any closer. He's managed to get himself back up. And so we're back here again. So I'll just make a note now. Also, he had taser cables connected to him, but now he doesn't have taser cables connected to him because they're about to fire the other taser at him. Well, this was so amateurish.
Put it down! Here's going. Get back, mate! Get back! Get back! You're kidding my brother.
Yes, So, well, lucky the cop didn't jump on him last time because then he's read out more damning evidence that he's a terrorist. If the cop had got him before, we wouldn't have heard that. We wouldn't have had confirmation that he's a terrorist doing it for his brothers and sisters in Iraq. He's not. He's not reciting a script, is he? Oh God.
All right, mate, just set them up. All right? We can talk about that later, okay?
Put the knife down! Put the knife down!
Just put the knife down, buddy. Come on. Don't be silly, mate. Don't get up. Taser, taser. There you go, buddy. Get on the knife. Just pick the knife, pick the knife.
What did the cop? That was easy. He's on the ground. I just walked up to him and grabbed him. He was on the ground about 4 times, way more than the legal use of a taser according to the police instructions. But yeah, then it's almost as if they were waiting for him to say that he was doing it for his brothers and sisters in Iraq. So you can see what's happened. They've waited a minute and a half, set up this last scene, and got, okay, everyone get ready. All right, let's wrap it up. Use the second taser and finish this thing off.